2021 free agency is on the horizon. Let's take a look at what the Giants might be thinking about. Today, Shaun O'Hara joins me to talk about the defensive backfield. And Shaun, before we get to the free agents themselves, the Giants at cornerback. James Bradberry, a great addition in free agency last year. But that second cornerback spot was really a carousel all year long, whether it was Ryan Lewis or Isaac Yiadom, Julian Love at the end of the year. They just couldn't find somebody to stick at that second cornerback spot.
Yeah, they definitely had a rotation there, and Isaac Yiadom did a nice job, had a couple of nice flashes, a couple of nice plays. You know, you look at Logan Ryan, and you saw him coming in and playing a little more corner, and so the versatility is kind of forced them into that a little bit more, and also kind of showed that, man, the Giants have some safeties that can slide outside the corner in a pinch. I think Darnay Holmes was probably the most pleasant surprise out of that whole group. You kind of thought of him as a slot receiver, and that's probably his forte, but he has the ability and the feistiness to move outside if he need to.
Yeah, played inside cornerback, did a really nice job. But if the Giants want to try to add that CB2 to play the other outside spot across from Bradberry, here are some options in a mix, Shaun, of some veterans and some guys just coming off their rookie contracts.
Yeah, veterans, you think the Richard Sherman and you know, the guy's been around the block, he's seen everything, both of them his time in Seattle as well as San Francisco. Now, it's kind of interesting because Sherman, you can think of him as more of a system corner, right? He's been a cover three type of corner almost his entire career. Not a ton of man. Loves to play man, though, because when he does, he gets to talk about it and talk trash. So no doubt the personality that he would bring would be an interesting factor for the Giants. Shaq Griffin, I mean, when you look at him and his speed, his athletic ability, he's a guy that I think could draw a lot of interest. And then when you look at Awuzie down in Dallas, obviously the Cowboys defense was not their strength last year, but certainly an athletic guy. And when you kind of look here, you know, 5 knockdown passes, an interception, a fumble recovery, you know, he can find a way to make some impact plays. But I think when you look at some of these guys, it's all going to come down to the value of it, because you mentioned the corners of the Giants. I think if you look at the Giants defense, the secondary is absolutely their strength. So, you know, having a couple of additions would help.
Just want to talk about Sherman for 1 second. You know, the Giants really succeeded last year by disguising the secondary, right? You talk about Logan Ryan, what a smart player he was. Jabril Peppers, big-time film guy. He just seems to fit that mold as an intelligent player. And you talk about what they used to do in Seattle, forcing all those turnovers. It just seems like a fit in the type of player the Giants would want to add to that group.
No doubt the meeting room would look a little bit different with a guy like Sherman. You couple him with those safeties that you mentioned, with Jabril and with Logan. I know a guy like Xavier McKinney would certainly benefit from seeing how a veteran watches film and what they look at from receivers and from quarterbacks as well as schemes to try to decipher what kind of routes and what offenses are doing.
And then William Jackson might even be the top guy on the market out of Cincinnati. Really good player. Bengals, a lot of cap space. Good chance they try to retain him up there in Cincinnati. We've talked about the safeties while we've talked about corners, Shaun. Besides the defensive tackles, might have been the strength of the Giants team last year. They don't really have a lot of free agents at the spot, so I'm not sure there's a lot of need there. But this is a very impressive safety class that we have to talk about. These are Pro Bowl caliber players here that are going to hit the open market.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, you've heard a lot of teams and people talk about, boy, teams want 3 starting corners. When Xavier McKinney came back from his injury, came off IR, the Giants were starting 3 safeties a lot of times. So to your point, it's absolutely an asset to have if you're the Giants defense right now, because they love to bring in safeties and corners and rotate them all around. You mentioned the talent. Anthony Harris jumps off of the page. I remember last year you and I talked about him, his ball hawking ability. He was phenomenal on that defense. So for him to be available now, a year later, is great. Justin Simmons, I mean, he's been one of the best safeties in the NFL the last couple of years. So that would certainly be a huge addition. Financially, that could be a little bit tough. Marcus Williams, I feel like he's been playing in the league for 10 years now. I feel like he's been around so long, but he could certainly make a lot of big plays. And then, of course, John Johnson, who the Giants know, that played against him last year. You know, this is, I mean, any one of these players adding to the Giants secondary at safety, I mean, you could say the Giants would have the best defensive backfield in the entire league with one of these guys.
And then Marcus May crossed town with the Jets as well, another player that certainly has had a very good start to his young career. That's a look at the defensive backs, cornerbacks, and safeties as the Giants head into free agency in 2021.